Alright, hello everyone and welcome to WWE Discussion. I'm your host and WWE Enthusiast Dougie Doug. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing NXT January 16, 2024 edition, an edition of NXT that continued with the Dusty Classic, concluded round 1 and setting up round 2, and also there was a 20-moment battle royal to determine who will be challenging Lyra Valkyria at Vengeance Day for the NXT Women's Championship. And with that, we'll go to get right into the action, starting with the Dusty Classic, Trick Miller Gang versus Idris Anafe and Malik Blade. And this was a great opener and the hottest bout in the Men's Dusty Classic so far. The crowd is so into Trick that anything he does feels like a big deal. He has genuinely overshadowed Mello, while Trick Miller Gang should have gotten this kind of tag team run before they became solo stars and likely future rivals. It is great to see what they can do together as Trick gets better all the time. Credit to Anafe and Blade, who remain one of the more reliable veteran tag teams in NXT. They deserve a serious run sooner than later, whether it comes in NXT or from a main roster call-up. I will say this, another interesting thing about Trick, interesting development from the show, was that Ilya Dragunov announced he got medical clearance, and that the NXT title match between him and Trick Williams would take place at Vengeance Day. Now Trick is planning on working 2 matches on the show, right? He's going to do the tag team match, he's going to do the finals of the Dusty Classic to open the show, and then the NXT Championship match to close the show. So, the way WWE laid it out made it seem like Trick Milligan is going to win the Dusty Classic. I would argue against them winning it, and I don't think at the moment that it's likely that they do win it. I would much rather just see Trick versus Dragunov and leave that as a one-on-one match without having them to do double duty, but maybe they do it. But at the moment I don't quite see it playing out the way that they presented it on TV. Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley versus Olive Ice and Electric Lopez, and this could have been longer, but the action was great for the 4 minutes it had. Paxley especially showed off on her athleticism and ability to follow the Valkyria's offense to the letter. This angle of Valkyria and Paxley has developed nicely so far. It is still hard to figure out what the end game is, and whether or not Paxley is genuine with how she feels about Valkyria, but regardless of what the end game is or how genuine the feelings are, this is the best character work of Paxley's career to date and could help redefine her career in NXT. Valkyria is a star herself and can certainly help someone like Tatum Paxley become one herself. And as for Olive Ice and Electric Lopez, well, after the Battle Royal match where Vice eliminated Lopez and then Vice got eliminated and then those 2 games below, it's safe to say that this team is officially over. I never quite understood the whole teammates being mad at each other when one member eliminates another in a Battle Royal. You know, it's a Battle Royal, it's every man for himself. You know, what are you going to do, be co-winners? It just didn't really make any sense, but Vice and Lopez as a team didn't really have much of a ceiling anyway, so I guess there goes a team. Then we have the second Dusty Classic match, LWO versus Chase U, and aside from an ill-timed commercial break with no picture-in-picture that hurt the momentum of this match, everyone involved was too explosive to not deliver quality belts. Wild had the crowd on their feet throughout down the stretch. LWO looked like world beaters in a team that has earned much more than they have been given on SmackDown. Either team could have won this match, but LWO has a chance to be the one established tag team to make a real impact in this tournament. They can rebuild themselves in this tournament and showcase a story beyond the makeshift pairings, and I would make the argument for them to win the whole thing, just because they are a legitimate tag team and not thrown together like Breaker and Corbin or Axiom and Fraser. But I guess we'll see how it plays out. It's tough at the moment to see or think who could win it. You'd have to think Trick Milligan is a favorite along with Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. Those two teams seem like the likely favorites, but once again I will make the argument for LWO to win it. And then the main event, the number 1 contenders battle royal, which once it got down to the final 4, would end in a fatal 4-way, with the winner being Roxanne Perez. And this was a wild and fun main event that made up most of the final quarter of the show. So many women got a chance to show out, even some relative unknowns along the way. The final 4 was a right group, as all 4 women could challenge for the title and had all 4 women have credibility and that they could challenge for the title, and it would be believable if they won it, or it would be, people would believe that they could win the title. They have credibility. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is that the 4 women, final 4 are women with credibility. It is tough to deliver fresh match types, but the way this match did that really worked. The transition to the Fatal 4 was seamless. The finish might be a bit of a surprise, mainly due to the build. The Prodigy is great, but has had no momentum in recent weeks. She had a rivalry with Kiana James and Dame. I forget it. Izzy Dame. That's what it was. Izzy Dame. That one, I guess, is over. I mean, it didn't really look like it got settled, but NXT hasn't gone back to it, so I guess it's over. Henley and James had some, I think probably had the most momentum going into this, but this could help legitimize Perez again. She and Valkyria can put on a show at Vengeance Day. In conclusion, this was a great show for NXT. Pacing was great throughout, and multiple matches over-delivered, with a memorable main event that took up the final 30 minutes of the night. The women especially made an impact. The multiple segment focused on Valkyria and the NXT Women's Championship made the women's division feel even bigger than the NXT Championship. The men's Dusty Classic delivered big time matches for the remaining quarterfinals. The Golden Draw Trick Miller game possibly set up Trick Williams for double duty at Vengeance Day. Adds another interesting hook to the story. This was as good as NXT has been in a long time, which is a credit to the great talent and the strong building foundations for Vengeance Day. And with that will conclude this episode of WWE Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below.